The rules have changed.
What is up, you all? Today we'll be reviewing the 6th entry in the Final Destination franchise, Final Destination Bloodlines. Plagued by a violent and reoccurring nightmare, a college student heads home to track down the one person who might be able to break the cycle of death and save her family from the grisly demise that inevitably awaits them all. Before we get into it, y'all, smash the like button because it definitely helps, and make sure you're subscribed to the channel. We're going to start off spoiler free. So to get into this, I'm a huge Final Destination fan, as you guys know, and this one right here, it definitely hit those beats. That's what I was afraid of. I was afraid of this movie just not living up to the hype and things like that, but with everything going on with this, as we know, it's going to be following the main character, Stephanie, who's in college. She comes home to get in contact with her grandmother because her grandmother was one of the first ones to have a premonition back in the 60s, and she has, this formula to cheat death and break the cycle of death. So with this right here, I will say it really shocked me from different angles how brutal it got, because one thing I will say, with Final Destination movies, they always been brutal, but Final Destination Bloodlines was a different type of brutal. It does a great job at balancing the goofy kills while keeping itself serious with certain kills. And one thing I do want to say is, I feel like with, all the movies we got with Final Destination Bloodlines, I see a lot of people saying that they think that this is the best one. And I see why people do say that, because this movie is actually executed to a T. Like, it's great storytelling. And I feel like this is the first and only Final Destination movie where they're trying to actually, get us invested in the characters and get us understanding the characters, just in case if something happens to them, which we know will happen to them, we are emotionally attached and we feel it. Now, with this whole thing, one thing I liked about Final Destination Bloodlines is how they were trying to connect like previous events and situations to this one right here, almost making this just like be the heart of the franchise. That's what I basically think that Final Destination Bloodlines is like the heart. It's kind of just laying out the blueprint of Death's original design. And it's a lot of great scenes in this, but it's also a lot of scenes that does not take itself serious. My favorite character had to be the main girl, being Stephanie, and I liked Eric's character. He was very funny, he had a lot of humor to him. And one thing I do want to say is, with this, it definitely has beats. The main beats I feel like that this one connects to, if I had to pick a Final Destination, is Final Destination 2. It's like the brother of Final Destination 2, if that makes sense. It kicks off in a way that gets you pulled in immediately. It does have a couple slow moments, but with this one, like I said, we're so used to Final Destination being like boom, 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 back behind each other, behind each other, behind each other. This one, it has to space a lot of things out because it's trying to tell us a story, not only about Stephanie, but this bloodline that shouldn't exist. And these people that are in this bloodline alongside of their grandmother Iris. So we kind of kick off and get involved and invested in the story, and we see a lot of things play out with the deaths. And one thing I do want to say, if I had to nitpick a little bit, it was a lot of CGI in this, but it wasn't bad CGI. You know what I'm saying? I'm so used to Final Destination being practical. Like, the older movies, they were like half practical, half CGI, but this one felt more of just like CGI, which I know that's the norm nowadays and things like that. It saves work, and it's like basically work smarter, not harder, and that type of stuff. But that's what made Final Destination unique, was that a lot of those deaths, from my knowledge, were like practical. Pushing forward, man, we see Tony Todd, and it's been a while since I dropped some tears, or at least a couple, just in the theater. Like, no lie, that scene caught me off guard when we get William Bloodworth on screen, and it's literally almost like he improvised that, the way he's talking. It's like a send-off to him, because we all know that Tony Todd actually left us a couple of months ago, and the way he left us, it kind of helped him prepare for that moment. And I think this was the perfect send-off for Tony Todd. Like, literally, I was trying not to, but it was like right there in the corner, man. Like, damn, Tony Todd, y'all. Do y'all not understand? And it literally felt like he was talking to me, man. The stuff that he was saying not only just, you know, focusing on his situation, but also keeping a story real parallel with what he was saying. And it was just amazing to see him. Such a great way to send off such a legend. And I really did like the main character being Stephanie Lewis. She was very interesting. I loved her energy. And you get invested in her because she's so emotional and she's so invested and attached to the situation to get to the bottom of it. We're following her lead and seeing how she's trying to put things together with her family and try to get this bloodline situated. And it was just amazing just seeing Final Destination back on the big screen. One of the craziest kills, in my opinion, has to be the kills that took place at the hospital. That right there really caught me off guard. I actually felt that. And you know, Final Destination is known for trying to, you know, make you think about your every move and know that you basically can die any way, anytime, in any matter. And it still has that formula where you're looking over your shoulder once you leave the theater because of some of the kills that they, you know, pull out. And that was another thing I was scared of. Like, okay, they've done completed so many kills in the last 5 films. How are they going to generate more with the 6th entry? They do an amazing job. Like, some of them come off as goofy, you know, you got to throw humor in there, but some of them are brutal. Like, I was just like, wow, like mouth to the floor with some of these kills. But my favorite one has to be the one that takes place in a hospital, just because it catches you off guard. You think you know what's about to happen. Whole time is something going on over here and it just kicks up. Eric was literally the energy in the film, and I'm pretty sure that everybody could guess that from the trailer. He's definitely the energy and he brings a lot to the table with his character. A lot of the characters felt stale, but like I said, with this Final Destination, they tried their best to like get us invested. And the other ones, they don't. They're usually just like body bags and you're waiting for people to get, you know, took out. But this one, they were trying to get you invested because this is bloodline, this is family, you know what I'm saying? But I loved how they dived in the lore, the background, and they definitely explained a lot for, you know, us not to be confused, especially like if you're a viewer that don't understand what's going on really. They even break it down to those type of viewers. It's broke down to a perfect way where everybody can understand. And I love the twists and turns in this. It's a twist in this that I was not expecting, but I also was expecting. One thing I will say, I predicted damn near this whole movie, but one thing that I did not know was actually very interesting, and it's a twist that's involving William Bloodworth. I was like, okay, I knew something was going on, but I didn't know it was going to be that way. So it is very interesting. And yeah, man, overall, like, this is definitely one of my favorites out the franchise. I had a lot of fun with it. Great kills and a very impactful ending, and the storytelling was great. And I loved how they finally decided to just bring some lore to everything, put the premonition on a pedestal, and kind of just show how these things domino to this current point. Everything in Final Destination Bloodlines feels like the original. It felt like I was watching one of those 2000s Final Destinations, and that's what all that matters, because it's been 14 years since we got one of these films, and I had a good time with it. Is it like number one? I can't answer that right now, because you know how it is when you leave out of theater and you know you're on a high. But if I'm really just thinking about it, I don't think it's number one, but it's up there for sure. And I really had a good time with it. It is currently sitting at 95% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is amazing. The fans are standing behind this movie, which is so good. Hopefully, you know, they can kick up some more entries. And they did a great job at, you know, keeping that format where you're seeing everything kind of domino to some cracks on the floor, to hearing certain things in the street, and seeing how the wind blows. It had me tense in my seat, and that's what it's all about with a Final Destination movie, just getting you scared and making you get nervous, and they did such a great job with that. But that is my spoiler-free review. If you have not seen Final Destination Bloodlines, you should probably head out, because I'm about to talk about some spoilers, but not too many. But bust a U-turn once you see it, come back and let's talk spoilers. So to get into this with spoilers, if you follow the channel, you know I've been covering Final Destination Bloodlines since they brought it out in just the news and everything, but I dang near predicted this whole movie, which is crazy. Like, I told you all that somehow, some way, William Bloodworth was going to be involved in the Skyview Tower. I thought he was going to be like an adult because, you know, he's older, but I guess they kind of made it seem like he was younger than Iris. I mean, Iris probably was super old. Can't remember her age, but he was the little boy, and I loved how they kind of just intertwined that with the story and how Iris and him became friends, which I predicted that also, how they were going to be cool somehow, some way, because they obviously share that same gift on being able how to cheat death and everything. I really did enjoy that twist and turn and showing basically him walk out of the scene, kind of our farewell to him and him saying like, I retired, I'm done with this, Iris is gone, there's no need for me. I really did. I knew how it was going to play out with Stephanie and Charlie because that's how Final Destination movies play out. But that train scene was brutal because I'm thinking the whole time they're about to get took out by this big ass, like, just train. Whole time they pay, a lot of respect to that log kill that traumatized everybody in Final Destination 2, and it takes them out. I love that. Caught me off guard. And I really did enjoy the kills. My favorite kill had to be Eric and Bobby kill whole time. They are trying to cheat death and resuscitate them with peanut butter allergies and shit. And then the MRI machine kicks up. Oh my God, the piercings. I feel bad for people who got piercings like in all these areas. And then he gets sucked in magnetically to the MRI machine. And then the whole little screw thing comes out the vending machine and goes to his brain. Like, it is crazy. I really did like it. It was a breath of fresh air. It felt a little different, but in a good way. It was just kind of, doing its own thing while still paying homage to it. And the whole thing with Eric not being in a family for real, I called that. That was crazy because they kind of showed that and foreshadowed that in a trailer when he was almost living like he was invincible. So that's how I kind of put that together. I'm like, yeah, he's not going to be in a family watch. But that was actually weird how basically Death still got the Eric. I mean, I guess like Ira said, you can't get in Death's way because Death is not to be messed with. So that was actually crazy seeing him get took out like that. And like I told you all, Kimberly is indeed involved, and we found out everything about her and how she cheated Death. Like I told you guys, this right here, it was crazy just seeing it. I really knew soon as Tony Todd brought that up, like someone cheated Death, and it was Kimberly. I knew it. And yeah, like I told you all, I knew that was going to happen. So with that being said, you all, if I had to give Final Destination Bloodlines a rating, I'll have to give it I'll give it a 9 out of 10. It was solid. 9 out of 10, man. 9 out of 10. Very solid. Sitting at 95% on Rotten Tomatoes. And I really do, think this is going to be a great entry to the franchise. So, yeah, man. Comment down below how you feel about everything with Final Destination Bloodlines. What did you like? What didn't you like? And, yeah, just meet me down in the comments. Smash the like button on your way out. With that being said, I want to say rest in peace to the man, Tony Todd himself. You will forever be missed. Absolute legend. And I'm going to see y'all in the next one. Peace.